Hello, my name is Monu Kumar and I am currently enrolled in CS 441, that is Engineering Distributed Objects for Cloud Computing, and this is the final homework. So in this homework we have to create a distributed conversational agent system with Bedrock and Ollama. So this is kind of a conversational agent that will Bedrock and Ollama will interact with each other. So this is the LLM Inferno project that implements a conversational agent using Bedrock and Ollama. The application is designed to respond to client queries using RESTful APIs and integrate both trained LLM and local model, that is Ollama, for conversation. So what is the project features? So in this feature we have combined the Bedrock LLM and local Ollama model to handle dynamic queries. Like one LLM will respond to the other LLM and this process continues. We are using Akka HTTP for HTTP RESTful API call, and finally we will deploy this on AWS EC2. And so let's look into the deep. So this is the environment you need, like Mac for operating system, a Scala version, SVT version, and Amazon Bedrock integrations. So let's talk about some configurations. So this project have application.conf. You can find out in src main resources, where you can see we have AWS configurations, Lambda, that is API gateway URL, Ollama configurations, and some application settings. As I can show you, this is our application configurations. This is the API which is hosted on API gateway, and I am using Ollama locally, and some output directories for saving our conversation between Ollama and Bedrock. This is our project structure that includes API servers and routes, client integration, that is Bedrock and Ollama integration, and we have a conversational management that enforces like exchange limit. So I am keeping 5 for now, or you can give in the curl URL, or you can say client can give the curl URL. And we are storing the conversation between Ollama and Bedrock. So what is the prerequisite? So you need to have a AWS account, Java for sure, that is Java 11 will work, Git, GitHub, Ollama, IDE for sure. So let's talk about our project in detail. So in this project we have 4 endpoints. This is health, this is generate Bedrock, this is generate Ollama, and this is generate conversation that user can hit. And this generate conversation will start conversation between Bedrock and Ollama. So how we gonna achieve that? So if user will hit any of these endpoints, let's say user is hitting this generate conversation, so we are using Akka HTTP protocol for that. When user will hit this API using curl, this application will hit the API gateway using gRPC contract. So how we gonna achieve that? So we have this text generation proto, and you can generate the contract of the request and response. I can show you here. It has a generated request and response contract. So this will hit the URL of API gateway. This is the API gateway URL, and API gateway again interact with Lambda function, and Lambda function interact with Bedrock, and they will send the request back to this application, and we will give the response to the client. So let's see how we gonna deploy this application on EC2. So first of all, you need a instance of EC2. So first of all, search EC2, and then you can create or launch an instance. You can just give a name here. I am using Amazon Linux. You can select your instance type here. I am using this medium, and you have to select a key pair name. So I have already created a key pair, so I am using this key pair, and then I am allowing every traffic to this, and you can also configure the storage. So for now I am using 20 GBs, and then you can launch the instance. So your instance will be kind of this. Then you will how you gonna connect with this instance. So just click here, connect, and it will give you the connection SSH command. So just copy that and go to your terminal. Just go to your downloads and just paste that, and it will instantly connect with SSH. And then you have to install here Java 11, and I am also using Ollama, so you have to install Ollama here for locally access. Then you have to create an API on API gateway. So how you gonna do that? So this is our API gateway. You can create an API from here. Let's say I am using this REST API. So just build that API. Just give a name here. Just I'm giving test2. That is regional. That is fine. And just create an API. Then you have to configure this API with your Lambda function. So first of all, you need to create a Lambda function. So just search here Lambda function, Lambda, and you can create a Lambda function here. So just let's create a Lambda function. You can give any name. I am using Python 3.13, and that's all. You can create a Lambda function here. I have already created that function. I can show you. This is my Lambda function I'm using. So now you have to configure this Lambda function in your API gateway. So how you gonna do that? So just create a method here, and you just whatever you want you can create. I'm using post, and integration type will be your Lambda function. Here there will be pop-up for Lambda functions ARN, so you can choose from here. So I'm choosing this one. Integration timeout you can give. By default it is I think 3 seconds, so you have to increase that, and rest of all you can leave like that, and you can create the method. So it will create your API, whatever you want to do. I have created an API here, you can see, and when you go to the stages you can see your invoke URL. As I explained earlier that I am using gRPC protobuf for contract of this API, so I didn't wanted to write all those parsing code for Google gRPC protobuf here in my Lambda function. So what I am doing, I am taking the request in the gRPC format, and I am converting to JSON format. How you can do that I will show you. Just go to your API, and there is an integration request, and there is a mapping template. You can go to mapping template, and you can add your template whatever you wanted to convert, and this converted template is going to my Lambda function, so I don't have to write any parsing code for gRPC protocol here. This is our configuration with Lambda function. Then you have to code in your Lambda function. So let's say I have created this Lambda function. So you go to this code section and you have to write a code here to interact with Bedrock. So I'm interacting with this Amazon Titan text light v1. So how you gonna do that? So I will tell you in the second. Then you have to also configure this. So by default timeout will be 3 seconds. That is very less. So you need to increase this timeout. And you go to the permission and you have to give the role for Bedrock here. So here I have given this AWS Lambda basic execution role. You have to give this also. Okay, so now we have configured our API gateway, our Lambda function. We have launched our instances. Then you can just make a fat jar that will install all your dependency and just SCP to the server, AWS server, and then you will be like your jar will be on EC2, so you can run this jar on your EC2. Let's run this jar. This is my starting point of the application. Let's run this jar. So we have run this jar and I am using local Ollama. So I have already installed Ollama here. So I have to start my Ollama here. Let's say I will start my Ollama here. I'm using Llama 3.2. I will see in application configuration. I'm using this model. It will run this model on your EC2 instance. So now it's running. So now we have four endpoint that we can access our application. So our application is started. Let's go to the Postman, and I have already generated some curls. You can see here. These are the curls I have generated, and any user can access from this curl. So let's go to the Postman and let's try some curl. So this is my health API. Let's send a request and we are getting services healthy. This is our Ollama that will generate text in Ollama. So user can hit here. It will take a little bit time, 3-4 seconds. And you can see Ollama is giving a response here. This is for Bedrock. You can also check. Bedrock is also giving the response here. Now we will test our last API, that is a conversation API, that is conversation between Bedrock and Ollama. So I am giving the prompt here, tell me about cloud computing. I have given the max token for Bedrock, and exchange will be 4 times conversation will be exchanged from Ollama to Bedrock and Bedrock to Ollama, and I am saving this into a file, so I am giving save to file true. Let's send this request. It will take some time. Let's wait for 3-4 seconds. Meanwhile, I will tell you how you gonna expose this URL for the client. So when you go to your instance, let's say this is my instance. This is security, and just add an inbound rule for 8080 because our application is running on 8080. I can show you in my code. This is the application port and host. So you just add a inbound rule for 8080, and this is for TCP protocol, and you can hit it from anywhere if your application is running. Let's go to the Postman and see if there is some result. Yeah, we got the result here. So here user, that is client, given the prompt here, tell me about cloud computing. So first of all, Bedrock responses here like cloud computing is technology something, then Ollama, then Bedrock. It will exchange 4 times, and we are saving this response, this conversation, in this file. Let's check out this file. So just go to your application, let's minimize this like this. Let's create another SSH tunnel to show you. Yes, I can show you. For now I am closing this Ollama. So this is saved in src. So cd src main resources output, and just give the name of the file, that is conversation. Let's cat this conversation, this one. And we can see here the conversation between Ollama and Bedrock is saved here in this file. So like this you can deploy your application on AWS. So for now my EC2 instance is running, so that's why my endpoints are working. When you are going to test, just ping me and I will again start this instance. Meanwhile I will stop this instance. So that's all for now, and in the next video we will see how to containerize this application and run on AWS. So that's all for now. In conclusion, this is the distributed system for conversational agents, like 2 LLMs are talking to each other, and we have hosted on EC2 with the help of gRPC for contract and API gateway for hitting the Lambda functions, and Lambda functions for interacting with Bedrock. So that's all for now. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.